Hey there and welcome. You know that feeling, right? You pull a loaf of bread from the oven and, that little pang of disappointment. Well, if that's you, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're putting on our detective hats and solving some of the most common bread baking mysteries out there. Let's get started. I mean, it's the one question every baker has asked at some point. You follow the recipe to the letter, you put in all that time and effort, but somewhere along the line, something just went wrong. Was it the yeast? Did I not knead it enough? Is my oven possessed? We are about to find out. So, look at this. On one side, you've got the absolute dream. A beautiful loaf with perfect volume, a gorgeous golden crust, incredible texture. And on the other side, well, that's the baking nightmare. It's dense, it's flat, maybe the top is all cracked. Cracking the code between these two is exactly what we're going to do today. All right, so before we can solve this mystery, we first need to define what we're even looking for. We have to know our target. So let's lay out exactly what a perfect loaf is, according to the science of baking. This is our gold standard. A truly fantastic loaf really has four key things going on. First, you want good volume. It should feel light and airy, not like a brick. Second, an even texture inside, what bakers call the crumb. Third, you've got to have that classic, beautiful golden crust. And finally, of course, that incredible fresh-baked aroma. That's the goal. Our investigation starts at the very beginning, at this source, the dough itself. You'd be surprised how many bread problems can be traced right back to this initial mixing stage. This is where the whole foundation for flavor and structure gets built. And the absolute star player in the dough is gluten. You see, kneading isn't just about mixing ingredients. It's about developing this amazing elastic network that literally traps the gas the yeast produces. That's what gives your bread its structure and that beautiful rise. And the best way to check if you're there, the famous window pane test, where you can stretch the dough so thin you can almost see through it without it tearing. This table right here gives us our first big set of clues. So, if your clue is a dense, heavy texture, the culprit is almost certainly not enough kneading. The fix? Just keep going until you pass that window pane test. Or if your bread is coming out dry and crumbly, that points to another culprit, too little fat. The fix is super simple. Make sure you're adding enough shortening or butter. And here is a crucial number to burn into your memory. The ideal temperature for your dough should be right between 26 and 28 degrees Celsius. This is the absolute sweet spot where the yeast is happiest and the gluten develops perfectly. Seriously, temperature control is non-negotiable. Okay, so you've mixed a perfect dough, but now it has to rise. And this brings us to the proofing stage, which, let's be honest, can be a total minefield of potential problems if you're not paying attention. So what exactly is proofing? Well, it's that final, crucial rise your shaped dough takes right before it hits the oven. This is where the yeast really gets to work, munching on sugars and releasing carbon dioxide. And all those little gas bubbles are what cause the dough to expand and create that light, airy texture we're all chasing. Let's examine the clues from the proofing stage. If your loaf has poor volume, the culprit is almost always your timing. You've either underproofed it or, more likely, overproofed it. Seeing giant random holes inside? That's probably trapped air. And if you notice a sour taste, that's a classic sign of over-fermentation. But look, every one of these clues points to a pretty straightforward fix. And to fix those big, ugly holes, you've got to degas the dough properly. As you can see here, this is not about aggressively punching the dough down. No, it's a gentle press in the middle, a couple of simple folds to bring the edges in, and then you just turn it over before shaping. This super simple process redistributes the yeast and gives you a much more even, beautiful crumb. We've kneaded, we've proofed, and now it is time for the final, dramatic transformation. Welcome to the oven, where heat works its magic, or its mischief. This really is the moment of truth. That intense heat is what sets the crumb and forms that delicious crust. But you've got to be careful. Even tiny changes in temperature or time at this final stage can have massive, massive consequences for your finished loaf. So what's the magic number for the oven? Well, for that perfect golden brown crust, you're aiming for a hot oven, right in that 220 to 230 degrees Celsius range. This high heat is what gives the loaf that final explosive oven spring and sets the crust nice and quickly.
Your crust is the final clue. Is it looking pale and kind of sad? Your oven's too cool. Is it burnt or way too dark? Your oven's too hot. And a cracked crust? That's often a dead giveaway that your oven was too dry. The fix for that is to just add a little steam right at the beginning of the bake. It keeps the crust moist just long enough to expand properly.
So, after all our detective work, investigating the dough, the proofing, the oven, what have we really learned? We've gathered all the clues, and now it's time to finally crack the code to consistent baking success. When you boil it all down, it comes back to what I like to call the baker's golden rule. Precision is everything. You need precision with your temperatures, from your dough all the way to the oven. You need precision with your timing, for both fermentation and proofing. And you need precision in your technique, from how you knead to how you shape. I absolutely love this final thought. It's such a great reminder that baking is a craft, you know? Every single loaf you make tells a story of the care and the precision you put into it. It's the story of your skill growing over time. And with that, I'll leave you with a question. Now that you're armed with this knowledge, ready to spot the clues and apply the fixes, what story is your next loaf going to tell? Happy baking!